said, why, oh, why? Why, oh, why? Spells yoy?
Hello, welcome to GasTank. It's Mr. Tony Ashton. My name's Rick Wakeman. And our next guest, in fact, I suppose, did more to change the face of music in the late 60s and 70s, and the face of himself as well, than any other musician that I know of. Here with California man, Mr. Roy Wood.
Going to a party, meet me on after school. Yeah, we go to a place where the jive's really cool. Well, if the band starts playing, there's a jukebox in the hall. When the beat is on and your folks all gone, you should give the guys a ball. Get that real guitar voice shaking. I'm the California man. Dance right on till the boys are breaking. I'm the California man. Yeah, cross my mama so bad. And this a woman, she's it was really cool. Hey, the band starts playing, there's a jukebox in the hall. With the booty song and the folks all gone, you sure get the guys the ball. Get that real guitar foot shaking. I'm a California man. Dance right on till the floors are breaking. I'm a California man. Across my moments so bad, and this is what witches are making me mad. Now I don't care if my legs start again. I'm a California man. I'm a California man.
How did the painting like come around? You know, because people talk about bands today who use all the makeup and paint.
Yeah.
You were doing that ages ago, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. In fact, it came about when, because Carl Wayne was originally the lead singer in the Move, and when he left, all the fingers pointed to me, you see, to sort of become the sort of lead person.
Why did he leave? I can't remember.
He went into cabaret.
Oh,
he wanted
that's right.
to do that, you know.
And get involved in Crossroads, I
Yeah,
think.
Tom Jones and all that.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'd never actually been a lead singer before. I was always the guitarist and the vocal backingist. And I thought that, in fact, we had a show come up which was on BBC Two that was the predecessor to the Whistle Test. And I'd had a coat made for it, which was like a bit like it was like sort of triangle type thing, like a long jacket. And everybody else had gone off to the bar. It's usually me that's in the bar first, of course, but everybody else had gone off to the bar. And I sort of looked at myself in the dressing room mirror, and I thought, well, there's something missing, and the jacket looked all right. And I managed to nick some makeup from the makeup department, and I made my face up the same as the jacket in triangles, and that's how it all started.
Is that where Wizard came from?
Yeah.
And that's where you took the name from? Or did you have the name before then?
In fact, the name Wizard wasn't anything to do with the makeup at all.
Just testing you. What about the Barnet? When did that all start?
I don't know, actually. You mean the colour or the length of it?
Yeah, well, not so much the length, but the colouring.
Well, let's have a think about this. Oh, yes. We were in the early days of Wizard, we were in an Indian restaurant. And in fact, I had one last night, excuse the breath.
That's all right. It wasn't the breath I was worried about.
In fact, you should all come up to Wolverhampton for a curry. They can't make them down here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the last curry I had in Wolverhampton, I left my car and drove myself home. Back to the hair.
Back to the hair.
Indian restaurant.
In an Indian restaurant, and I went in. I was with this tart, in fact, at the time, and there were some people on the next table, and there was a tart on the next table who was being quite sort of obnoxious and shouting at me and using foul words and stuff.
What, she was sort of asking you to leave, but sort of naughty
politely, yeah.
Yes.
And I sort of stood up and sort of told her to sort of politely sort of calm down a bit, and she jumped on me and and held me hair and dragged me all around the restaurant by my hair, and I couldn't really do much about it because there was this bloke holding my arms up my back, so consequently my hair got tied in a big knot.
Why did they start doing this, just out of interest? I mean, had they been to the gig or what? I mean,
no, what their own back.
Why did they start doing it? Seriously, you don't know. Just
no, I don't know. They were just nutters, you know.
Okay, I'm still dying to know how the hair came the colour.
Yeah,
so she's dragging you around, yeah.
Dragging me around, yeah. And my hair got tied in a knot on the top, and so I couldn't get the knot out. We had to cut my hair all sort of silly. Well, it's pretty silly anyway. It ended up a bit like a carrot, so I went round to this hairdresser's and had the top done green, so it looked like a proper carrot job. And it sort of went on from there.
When you walked out of there the first time when it was green?
I was trying not to look at my reflection in shop windows. I was embarrassed at myself.
Yeah.
Well, I still am.
And Wizard, you put Wizard together in the band. In fact, you were involved very heavily at first with Regal Xonophone, weren't you?
Yes, in the movement.
Which, for the uninitiated, Regal Xonophone was most probably the cult label of the time, going back late 60s and early 70s, formed by Denny Cordell, who put together such bands as The Move, Procol Harum, Joe Cocker, and in fact that was all financed by the Joy Strings. I don't know whether you knew that.
Really?
The Joy Strings financed that first thing. But The Move were most probably the biggest thing.
I'm glad I got up today now. I learned something else.
Yeah, well, we are taking over from Songs of Praise. Do you regret those days? Do you enjoy those days, or would you like to see them back?
Well, I enjoyed the days at the time, but obviously when you're sort of inexperienced and sort of green, in fact, you tend to sort of sign your life away.
Yeah.
You sign your life away, and you're still sort of regretting it 67 years later,
You suffered the same as really everybody did in the late 70s through, I suppose for want of a better word, bad deals or awkward deals. When I got lumbered, so did a lot of other people, which puts you out of action for 2 or 3 years where you're trying to put everything back together.
That's right,
again.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Now that you are back and you're motoring, what are your plans for the remainder of the 80s?
Well, I've got a new band together called Helicopters, which I'd like to actually take to America and do some stuff over there, which I sort of sadly neglected in my career, really. Although the American thing was...
It's very big. It was huge over there for you. What about with the band? I mean, have you recorded any stuff?
No, in fact, what I do is for the recording thing, I play all the instruments myself on my record, and the band just do a sort of live version of that.
Well, I sincerely hope it works very well for you, because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, people like you are relatively important and a breath of fresh air in the business.
Oh,
we hope
nice.
very much towards the end of the year, if we can get a second series of GasTank together, we're going to do a road show. Be smashing if you and the Helicopters could come along.
I'd love to, yeah.
And if you'll just sign here on this piece of paper, this gives you life. Roy Wood, thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, Rick.
I'm going down to zero. They say I'm
Yeah.
I believe you got one of those boring ditties of yours you dug up from somewhere.
Well, I just thought I'd try and add another chord to the programme, and by trying to bring a bit of culture. So what I did, I wrote...
out, man.
Yes, I wrote a piece based on people who are left at home when their loved ones are away. And I thought that... yes.
Brings a tear to the leg.
Yes.
Carry on,
You
sorry.
mended my car again?
If you don't mind... your helicopter.
Great. Well, if you don't mind, some of us who take things very seriously would like to go away and compose themselves in the serious manner to which this programme is intended.
Say no more. Rick is about to go and compose himself or something with a little rare tune called Gone But Not Forgotten. Got you.
Great delight in presenting one of my mates, an hero of mine, in fact. Not only is a songwriter of great repute, having written a wonderful song for Ray Charles, Bob Seger, but also he's a great actor. And we're also very happy to have Howie Casey with us as well. But it's not Jimmy Shan, it's Frankie Miller.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone. Let's pretend we're together all alone. I'll tell that man, turn the jukebox way down low. You can tell your friend there with you, he'll have to go. Whisper to me, tell me, do you love me true? Or is he holding you the way I do? Though love is blind, make up your mind. I've got to know. Should I hang up? Or will you tell him gonna have to go? You can say words I wanna hear while you're with that other man. Do you love him? Answer yes or no. Darling, I will understand. Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone. And let's pretend that we're together all alone. I'll tell that man, turn the jukebox way down low. Should I hang up, or will you tell him he'll have to go? You can say words I wanna hear while you're with that other man. Do you love him? Answer yes or no. Darling, I will understand. Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone. Let's pretend we're together all alone. I'll tell the man, turn the jukebox way down low.
This is reggae music. Everything you...
Oi, Ashton, what's all this Al
I'm
Johnson?
trying to get it together.
It's like the
I
Al
can't-
Johnson Appreciation Society. What are you on
All
about?
right, I'm sorry. No, I simply can't get that beautiful feel together.
Yeah, we had this before.
I know.
We don't have to worry anymore because we've got the Cimarons here.
Ah, let's go
shall
for a
we-
drink. Yes.
Burn my body, Lord, I don't care where. Burn my body, Lord, I don't care where. No, no, burn my body, Lord, I don't care where. 'Cause my soul wants to be with the Father, yeah. Wash my mind clean from evil thoughts. Wash my mind, Lord, from evil thoughts. Yeah, now. Wash my mind, Lord, from evil thoughts. 'Cause my soul wants to be with Jah. Yeah. I would go, yeah. Please, please release me, yeah. Lead I to your holy land. And if my ways should fail me, protect me with your guiding hands. I don't care where. I don't care where. No, no, no. Please, please release me. Lead me to your holy land. And if my way should fail me, protect me with your guiding hands. I don't care where. I don't care where. No, 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 no. Burn my body, Lord. I don't care where. Burn my body, 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 Lord. Burn my body, Lord. I wanna go back home. 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 Africa, Africa,
This next little ditty is a piece not entirely written by Tony Ashton. He had a friend to help him out, another drinking pal called Leon Griffiths, who was maybe better known for putting together the Minder series. Well, in return for this wonderful little ditty and mentioning his name, I get a free drink, which is just as well because the track's called Deep Pockets.
Now in every local boozer, there's always one tight-fisted guy. There's always one of you slapper who lets the other guys by. He never picks up a tab. He never even thinks. Miss him presume broke when it's his turn to buy the drinks. Know what I mean? He uses a special tailor and his suits are custom made. He's always got outstanding bills that I never ever paid. He wears the smallest pockets. They're stitched down to his knees. That's the only way he can beat his economic squeeze. He's got deep pockets, and he's never ever caught. His tiny hand is frozen, and his arms are far too short. He's got deep pockets, deeper than Loch Ness. Sorry, son, I can't get you on. Know what I mean? Financial distress. When it comes to his shout, he always feels a little bit ill. He'll die a friendless rich man, and he won't even leave a will. The moaners all will congregate, and they'll drink, and they'll laugh and laugh. Never spend a bleeding penny. That's his epitaph. Know what I mean? Deep pockets, short arm, mingy, skillfully, parsimonious. Tight bastard.
It's a great opportunity, in fact, to introduce you to the rest of the band. You'll understand later. Mr. Tony Fernandez on drums. Mr. Chaz Cronk on bass. It was Chaz's idea, in fact, for our next guest, Mr. Steve Hackett, because Chaz, in fact, worked with Steve for his last tour, and both in England and around Europe. And I think really that Chaz wanted to use an excuse so that he didn't have to rehearse and put tracks together. So when Steve came in and said that he wanted to do Camino Royale, we rearranged it. So Chaz had to go home and do his homework. Anyway, good excuse. Mr. Steve Hackett, Camino Royale. greatest difficulties for a musician is that if he works with a band that becomes extraordinarily successful, for example, I had a similar problem with Yes, as did Steve Hackett with Genesis, then people always tend to keep coming and harping back on the past, and sometimes forget about the amount of work that he's done after that. And in fact, a lot of music gets lost on the way. Steve's proved that by playing with us today. I learnt a lot about Steve because I'm on the same record label with Charisma. Did you actually have a hard time, first of all, when you left?
Well, when I left, it was funny because it was like, when you leave a band, you know, that band is like a sort of well-oiled machine. You have everything which is kind of natural, you know, you have all the outlets, you have the record company which takes care of you, you have the management which takes care of you, the road crew that take care of you. And in terms of energy, a band, I suppose, it's easy when you're feeling tired, you can hand over to someone else. But suddenly, when everyone wants the answers and it's from you, it's not as if the real work that you did is with the band. It's like the real work you really do is when you split. Impossible, really.
Absolutely, but you went round areas in Europe, in Eastern Europe, and you broke areas whereas before nobody had ever broken.
Sure, right. Well, you know, it's sort of, I'm always pleased that I can go to a territory where it hasn't been done by Genesis, and I can walk in there and people say, oh, that's it, yeah. We know this guy. He plays, he sings, you know. It's like we're not sort of totally concerned with his past, yeah.
Do you feel sometimes annoyed that people in this country don't realise that, in fact, you are bigger in certain Eastern European areas than, in fact, most other bands that there are existing at the moment?
I don't know, because, I mean, I've always got the feeling that however a record does, you know, you kind of go out and play in front of people, and that's the affirmation of it, you know. I mean, however an album does, it always seems to become a success when you play in front of people. So, I mean, to me, that's the real criteria. I don't think it's in terms of actual sales. I don't find it really reflects truly, if you like. And I've been making records for myself for quite some time, so I don't know about the old commercial market, quite honestly.
When you put a band together, what sort of band do you look for?
Well, there's one of your guys, Chaz Cronk, who's with the Strawbs, and I've got a guy called Ian Mosley on drums, Nick Magnus on keyboards, it's my brother on flute, and I mean it's a five-piece, and it's a lot of fun. I think I go for guys who a lot of the time they might be readers, you know, and I find that I'm not actually a reader, but most of what I do it's kind of easier if at times it's written down, because it is very structured stuff, and people can say, "Oh, that's a bit of a brain ape" or something like that, you know.
What about acceptance, musical acceptance, or you know, do you feel that you would like, in the same as the Eastern European area,
wider
would you like a wider appeal? Yes, on that front.
Yeah, I mean, I would like a wider appeal, and I feel it's chancy, because some albums that I do really well. I mean, probably like yourself, you know, and you can never really tell which is the album that's going to do it for you. You know, why is it one album does better than another, and it's not always a case of the album that you think is necessarily the best. I think there's a thing where you always seem to say to yourself, the latest is the best. You have to convince yourself of that at the time, because you wouldn't go through the sort of depletion of energy and physical damage that you have to put yourself through to make one.
Would you agree that sometimes through contractual things, either through management or record companies, that sometimes holds up what you try to do?
Well, I think at times it can be dangerous, because I think it's nice when the roles are clear cut, and unfortunately with Charisma that's the case, whereby the artistic thing is given to the artist. I think it's true, particularly in America, whereby people are so concerned with AOR potential that you know, you'll have A&R guys out there saying to you, I really think that you should do something that sounds like Foreigner. Absolutely. And if it doesn't fit into that mould, what it means is that the American record business can end up cloning itself to death and not really allowing the individual through. And it's a pity, you know, when everyone's following market trend, you know.
I just found out recently you got involved in hang gliding. In fact, wrote a track called Weightless. Is this true?
That's right. Yes, I did. Yeah.
I mean, you're the last person in the world I would associate
would do that. Yeah. Well, I was the last person in the world who I thought would do that, but I happened to be in Brazil.
Up, by the way. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Great. Now. Yeah. I was in Brazil, and the guy said to me one day, you know, you should really should really try hang gliding. And I thought, well, I mean, you have flying dreams and all that, and all the Freudian kind of significance that seems to go with it about sexual frustration and all that, but I don't buy that. I always thought that to be able to fly was a great thing, and it happens in dreams, and that's marvellous. But when you actually try it yourself, and I did a double with this other guy, and there comes a moment, there's a ramp in front of you, you know, it's about 10 feet long, and you run off that into nothing. I really thought I died when I jumped off the thing. It was like the moment until you're caught by the wind. It's like no other experience, because you turn upside down and like you're seeing everything from bird's eye view. So it looks instantly like a Hitchcock film, everything, and you feel, oh my God. And I had to write a song about it because it was.
That comes out on the next album.
That's
hopefully.
right, yeah.
Well, one of the interesting things that hopefully GasTank's done is that I've not played with you before. Thoroughly
right.
enjoyed putting the piece together.
Yeah, me too.
And the irony is we're both on the same record label,
right.
which for once actually alleviates the problem of two people trying to work together or doing whatever. So within a couple of weeks, you might be able to buy a Hackett Wakeman album, I hope.
We might be doing something together, yes. Right. Yeah.
So, can I plug it now? Right. Hello, you can now buy your Hackett Wakeman album on Charisma Records very shortly for a bargain price. Steve, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, mate. This used to be called Berry's Boogie, and then Beck did it and called it Beck's Boogie. So I suppose we ought to call it Hackett's Bogie.